to everyone who has been impacted by COVID. We want to send prayers to anyone who lost loved ones during the midst of COVID. I know that my family has been personally impacted, and it has. Uh, I know District 3, we lost in the midst of COVID-19. Some of them died because of COVID-19. Some of them died during COVID-19, and we have not been able to memorialize and go to funerals like we typically do. But we're not going to harp on the challenging times. Thank God that we are still here with each other. We are still growing in the city of South Fulton and still thriving. And I'm excited to bring you some important updates that we're doing in District 3 and some things we have done in District 3 and some things that we are doing in the city. And I am excited to bring to you and introduce you to our new city manager and our assistant city manager, and she's going to introduce her staff to you so they can give you updates on what's happening in the city. I'm excited to have Miss Sally Jones. She and Mr. Toms, her assistant manager, they do bring to the city of South Fulton over 30 years of municipal experience. And so I know there were a lot of anxiety and people wanted us, this council, to try to get people with more municipal experience, where we finally have someone with municipal experience and over 30 years. And I can tell you, with the leadership that we have now, I can see the advantage of having someone with experience. So I'm going to do a high level overview of District 3 as your council person and the mayor pro tem for 2021. And then I'm going to turn it over to our new city manager. Her name is Tammy Sadler Jones. And then she's going to introduce her staff, and each staff person will give you an update on their on what's happening in their division. Then we will take questions. If you want to go ahead and put your questions in the chat, that would be great. We will open up the mic and allow you to speak. But if you want to go ahead and put your questions in the chat, that will help us run the meeting more efficient. And we're going to go ahead, Ms. Little, if you can go ahead and share the presentation so I can run through my high level overview, and then I'll turn it over to Ms. Sadler Jones. Thank you again for attending, all the residents of District 3. And if you're not a resident of District 3, thank you for participating. And the information you're going to receive today is universal information for the whole city. But I did focus on things that were happening in my district, but you will get information that's happening in the overall city as well. District 3, that is the map of District 3. Next slide, please. And just to give you a little background, District 3 does encompasses Clintondale and Welcome All community, and we have over 13,000 residents. It is considered as one of the oldest communities in the city of South Fulton, and we're home to the largest parks such as Welcome All. We have the South Fulton Dog Park called Canine Park, and we have the South Fulton Tennis Center. Next slide, please. District 3 has, the overall city of South Fulton, and I'm proud of this, we're now up to 83,000 registered voters. When I got elected, we had over 50,000 registered voters, but because of all of the education and voter registration efforts, we are now up to 83,000 voters here in the city of South Fulton that's registered. It breaks down as District 3 has 11,000 registered voters, and the voters, you have 7,000 in Senate District 35. You have over 4,000 registered voters in District 39. And you have over 6,000 registered voters in House District 62. And you have over 2,800 registered voters in House District 64. Over 1,500 registered voters in House District 65. And in Commission District 5, you have over 9,000 registered voters. And in Commission District 6, we have over 1,400 registered voters. And I honed in those areas because all of those areas encompass District 3. Now, some of the things that we have done in District 3, in 2020, we focused on combating food insecurity and providing COVID-19 testing and prevention in 2020. We partnered with community organizations and community businesses. The Red Oak Animal Hospital, they donated over $5,000 in gift cards, and we're able to go to Wakefield in January and hand out $50 gift cards to residents as they walk into the store to shop. And Thanksgiving's partner with Publix in Wakefield, they donated turkeys and gift cards to help me feed over 1,300 residents citywide in the city of South Fulton. I have partnered with Hosea Helps, and Hosea Helps have helped me go into communities and some of our challenged communities and provide food to many communities throughout the city of South Fulton. And I have hosted 8 COVID-19 testing sites in District 3 and in partnership with the Fulton County Board of Health. And I have partnered with several churches throughout the city of South Fulton so that we could ensure people knew their status as far as COVID-19. I am in the process of working to bring mobile vaccinations in our community. That's forthcoming. I don't know when, but I am working towards that. Some highlights in District 3. We have a newly developed workforce housing on. It's called Vesta Camp Creek on Walker Road. When I got elected in 2017, a blighted community, and the residents community torn down. But we did find a developer to come in and redevelop the community, and it's beautiful. We have a newly renovated Wayfield Foods. That Wayfield Foods have not been renovated since it was Winn-Dixie. It was horrible. And I want to thank the Welcome All community residents for meeting with the executives from Wayfield back in March of 2020. We walked the store and we told them what we expected and what we wanted and the food offerings we wanted in our store. We wanted our store to look just as good as College Park, but now it looks better. We have newly renovated floors, new refrigeration units, we have a deli, and we have a juice bar coming, and the food offerings are better. And so I will tell you that if Wayfield is not offering something you want, please let me know so that we can let them know to make sure they provide those offerings to our community. As you ride through the community, you will see new benches. I tried to put trash cans and new benches at most MARTA bus stops because that's where I saw a lot of the litter in our district. And so that is still something we're combating. So I'm hoping that we encourage people to use the trash cans, and then the benches was just another, it's just something that I thought would be good for people who are standing and waiting on the bus stop. Waiting on the bus. And then we have a new Dunkin' Donuts in District 3. It's on Campbellton and Fairburn Road at 5270 Campbellton Road. Next slide, please. Coming soon in District 3, we have food distributions that will come back through the city of South Fulton. The first one will be held on February 26th out of Walker Park. But what I'm going to do this time is move the food distributions around. And I am partnering with Atlanta Community Food Bank. And so the first one will be on February 26th, and we will provide information for you to register. They will be on every first and third Friday. And again, the first one will be at Walker Park on the 26th. The second will be March 5th at Creel Park. And the third will be March 19th at Clintondale. Don't worry about writing this down because we're going to send out flyers and so that you can register. The Job Corps will be here and completed. The projected date is late 2022. That is going to be huge for the region. And then I talked to you about trying to bring mobile vaccinations in District 3. Next slide. This is what the new Camp Creek Vesta apartments look like on Welcomar Road, newly renovated. Next slide. These are what the new benches and trash cans look like you see throughout District 3. And I personally did that out of District 3 budget. And so my goal is to continue to do that every year until we get every bus stop furnished with a bench or a trash can. And then you see the new Dunkin' Donuts. I hope you had a chance to go by and enjoy. And this is our new renovated Wayfield. And I am so proud of the community, because when you advocate and when you ask, you shall receive. Next. And this is the new rendering of the Atlanta Completed Job Corps. And if you go to the next slide, oh, you put the slide about, I guess you didn't. Well, I'll send the information about the specifics of that Job Corps facility, how many beds will be there, what each building is going to be. But I'm excited about that. That Job Corps Center is going to be huge for the region, and it's going to address, kids who don't want to take the traditional route of school. They can go there, get a trade, and be able to, make money for themselves. And lastly, I just want to highlight, in 2020, I did sponsor and co-sponsor 6 ordinances, 2 key ordinances that I wanted to point out. Well, the key ordinance I wanted to point out that was most significant in 2020 was the mandatory face mask. And I would ask that you remind everyone that there is mandatory in the city of South Fulton for you to wear a face mask. If you're in a grocery store, if you're anywhere in the city of South Fulton and you don't see people with a mask on, please, respectfully remind them to wear their mask. And then I did 10 resolutions, but the key ones I want to highlight, I asked the General Assembly to legislate a policy reducing hate crime. And it was as a result of some of the social issues such as Ahmaud Arbery. I asked the General Assembly to repeal the citizen arrest law. Ahmaud Arbery was killed in Brunswick, Georgia. And then I also had a cousin to be killed, Julian Lewis, and he is my cousin in South Georgia. He was shot by a state patrolman. And that didn't get as much attention, but it did happen. And our family is still dealing with that. And so I did ask the General Assembly to look at repealing that law. Activating the Downtown Development Authority, Mr. Pike will expound on that. That was legislation that I worked on with my colleagues, and also promoting the 21st century policing. And that was in response to some of the social injustice and unrest issues that we have seen in the nation. The 21st century policing, our deputy chief will speak on that, but it is where the community, policymakers, and police work together for the common good of law enforcement in the community. And it has 6 pillars that we focus on and that we abide by. And so she will expound more on that when she does her presentation. And I think that is it. Is that it? Next slide. Yes, that is it. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sally Jones. She will introduce her staff. I think we're going to have community development and regulatory affairs first because she is on a tight schedule. She has to get over to the planning commission meeting, and I really do thank her for, coming and speaking with the community about and giving updates in the community development and regulatory affairs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Willis. Good evening, District 3. As Councilmember Willis mentioned, my name is Tammy Sadler Jones, and I serve as your city manager. And it is with great pleasure that I have the opportunity to introduce the dynamic staff of I can't talk tonight, it's been a long day. The dynamic team of staff that we have that are going to be presenting to you tonight. So the first person is Shayla Reed. Ms. Reed is our Community Development and Regulatory Affairs Director. And I will turn it over to Shayla because, as Councilmember Willis mentioned, there is a Planning Commission meeting currently in progress, and Ms. Reed needs to present in order for her to get on to that particular meeting. So Shayla, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, District 3. Thank you for the opportunity to have this discussion with you. I will be partnering in this presentation with Mr. Brian Morris, our Code Enforcement Administrator. So I'll give you a brief update on the planning and zoning items, and then I'll tag team with Mr. Morris for him to jump in on code enforcement. So in regard to the Washington Road Pedestrian Safety Study, this project was something that the planning team took very much pride in. We were informed about a development that was just previously mentioned with the Atlanta Job Corps, located off of Washington Road and Roosevelt Highway. We was informed about that in 2018. And we then took it upon ourselves to try to figure out the best way of addressing some of the matters that we're seeing out there in regards to pedestrian travel, which is walking basically. So we identified and found that there were going to be a number of pedestrians brought to that area because of the development. So we applied for an application with the Atlanta Regional Commission, also known as ARC. And from there, with that partnership, we received the application. And that application allowed for us to focus highly on the current and, well, I guess the existing land uses out there, as well as the upcoming development that I just mentioned with the Job Corps. So as you know, Washington Road has a large number of apartment complexes. It has commercial uses nearby. It has 13 MARTA stops in the area. So there's a lot of travel in that area. So the ARC hit the ground running. As soon as we were awarded, they jumped into doing a conducive study on walkability. So one of the things they did was they surveyed the community. They did a walkability audit, looking at the various different things that were currently on the site to see what's there and if it works best for us as residents, as well as the users of that area as visitors. And then in addition to that, they presented their findings out to council back in December. And so on December 8th, our council adopted this plan to use moving forward. So now that we have this plan in place, we'll be working directly, we being community development, we'll be working very heavily with Public Works on how we can bring in some of these different components that were recommended. For example, it recommends for us to repaint existing faded crosswalks. This is so that walkers can have a visibility of seeing where their safety lines are to keep them from walking into the roads, of course. It mentions applying for CDAP, mentioned looking at T-SPOS funding. It mentions listening for CDBG funding, and just a different number of upgrades. It's going to help walkers be safe, have opportunities of travel by foot, and then allowing for us to ensure that that walkability, as I mentioned before, is done at a safe capacity as it's enhancing the uses at that area. So with that said, I'll basically jump over into another huge project that we're working on really quickly, which is the comp plan. Residents, if you can, just stay attuned to your websites as well as emails. If you've signed up for email notifications with our communications department, we'll be fleshing out a calendar very soon for comprehensive planning. We have partnered with the Atlanta Regional Commission as late as this past December, where they'll be drafting our comp plan for us. For those who may not know what a comp plan is, it's a 5-year vision. It speaks on a 20-year threshold, but it speaks every 5 years. It gives us kind of like a checking point to say projects that we want to do to keep the city moving forward. When you see rezonings and land development taking place before council, we're always using that comprehensive plan file to ensure that whatever we're bringing as a recommendation to council, they're in fact seeing that it's complemented in the comprehensive plan. So residents are highly needed for this production, because when it comes to what you're wanting to see, what you're wanting to see next door to you, what you want to see literally down the street, what type of land development, what type of uses, whether it pertains to, if you're not wanting to see commercial, but you're rather seeing residential, whatever it may be, the comprehensive plan is where you're going to kind of start that discussion. So be on the lookout. Emails are going to come your way very soon in regard to that, or it's going to be on the website. So whichever way you've signed up for either notifications or by visiting our website. So that concludes what I have for planning and zoning. As mentioned, I have a planning commission meeting that I am scheduled for. So I'm going to pass this over to Mr. Morris so he can give you some great things that's happening in code enforcement.
All right, yes, indeed. Good evening, greetings, District 3. I want to thank Councilwoman Willis for having us out and for having this event here. We get to share with the community things that we're doing on their behalf. Just want to say that I'm proud of District 3 as a employee of City of South Fulton and as a resident of District 3. Happy to lead this code enforcement division, and I want to highlight some of the great things that we've been able to accomplish over the past 18 plus or minus months. And I think we've had a great impact within District 3. So we just want to highlight a few of those top achievements here in this presentation. Next slide. Okay, this is what we're going to focus on this slide. This is just a brief, like I said, just a brief high level idea of what we've been kind of up to. So some of these violations, as Councilman mentioned in her presentation, we inherited quite a bit from Fulton County, as you guys know, and as I know as a resident. I was a resident before I was an employee. So we've inherited years and years of some dilapidated conditions, and we're in the process of turning them around. And of course, these things take a little bit of time. So this is some commercial districts where we can make a huge impact. So we've worked with Councilwoman Willis in regards to making some of these changes, targeting those areas that we can impact the most, that are more highly visible, that pose a big danger, health and safety risk. And we've targeted those areas. So this is one salvage yard on Roosevelt. This is the before picture where we had dilapidated vehicles and structures and everything you can imagine. And now we've had them to screen the process of screening the property in. It's still a salvage yard and it's zoned properly to have a salvage yard to operate in that area. But even with that said, we do have regulations. We don't want cars stacked on top of each other, posing just an eyesore to the community. So we've been able to clean that up tremendously. Next slide. I'm sure many of you that travel going to the airport, going to the highway down Roosevelt, you're familiar with the burnout at 3515. I've been sitting out quite some time, and we were able to make inroads and make communication with the owners, and they're in process. They're not there yet, but it's a whole lot better than what it was. It was a complete eyesore, and now we have it where they have permits on the property, and they're in process of getting it taken care of. Next slide. All right, and this the notorious thrift shop on Roosevelt Highway. This has been an eyesore in the community for years and years and years. And I just want to say that we've had enforcement on many of these properties. Code enforcement has had ongoing enforcement actions on these properties. We've been in court, we've fined them, we've had bench warrants, the whole 9 yards. But what we've done in partnership with leadership, in partnership with council, we've just found different tools that we can use. And we're building this as we go. So we ask for your continued patience. And one of the tools that we found that we had was the ability to shut them down. If they continue to violate our previous court orders, we do have some tools that we can use through the judicial process. This is not something that code can do independently, but something that we can do through the judicial process where we can basically shut them down temporarily. And that's what we've done pending our trial in April. So you ride by the thrift shop for the past month or so, and up until April, we should see zero activity. And that's how we want to keep it until they can comply. And by comply, that means keep all of your merchandise inside. And we tell them all the time, the store is inside, it's not outside the parking lot. It's not a flea market. So that's what we're looking for. Next slide is the Texaco. We had multiple violations with the parking lot, drainage, potholes, just poorly kept. So we've encouraged them through citations, through violations, through fines and penalties to clean up their act. And partly as a part of our efforts, they've done a complete renovation. In the process of doing that, replaced that fence back there where it was dilapidated, is now in good condition, repaved the parking lot and upgraded the facade. So it's a much, much better look than it has been for years and years and years. Next slide. We are in the Wayfield. So Councilwoman Willis mentioned the great improvements on the inside, and I can attest to that. It looks 1,000% better, 1,000% better. So, we want to give kudos, of course, to the community for pushing that. And what I will say about District 3, we are active, and that's what it takes. They say the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and that's what it takes to get to the progress. And I'm happy to see that happening. So the exterior, where we could get involved, the parking lot was in bad shape. We had some trash and debris in the back. So we've just been working with Wayfield over the course of over a year to invest over $250,000 into the parking lot. And I just want to send a shout out to the economic director, Christopher Pike, for helping in that regard as well. But we have to use the carrot and the stick in order to get them to invest in our communities as they should. This one, some of you may be familiar with on Stonewall Tail as you near the annex. This was a U-Haul business that was improperly operating, doubles as a farm produce stand. They are licensed for the produce stand, but not for the U-Haul. So it's just unattractive look. You had, a dozen or so U-Haul trucks just stacked up, as well as other violations. This has also been a long-term project of getting them into compliance, but if you go to the next slide, we have reached a point of great progress. As you see, no more U-Haul trucks. We just had them in cold board yet again last week, and it was officially brought into compliance. And that's where it stands, and that's where we hope we can keep it at this point. This is on Stonewall Tail on the other side of South Fulton Parkway, near one of the warehouses. Just a dilapidated structure. We worked with the owners and wanted them to clear some violations, and we end up helping them to get it demolished. And now it's a vacant lot. It's clean, it's clear, it's ready for redevelopment. This is on the north side, the north end of Roosevelt, as you near College Park. This is the tire shop. Just multiple violations. The facade has been terrible for years and years and years, just piling up of different materials and vehicles and all types of things going on there that weren't good for us. So I've been working with them. This stuff takes a little bit of time, but we've gotten them not quite where we want them, but it's a vast improvement over where we've been. So the facade is totally redone. We've cleaned up. Some of the fencing has been repaired. We cleaned up just some of the mesh and the riffraff around that property. This one, for those that travel Stonewall Tail, this would be very familiar. This was a tremendous eyesore, burnout. We took them through cold board, municipal, and the blighted property process. And through a combination of all three of those, we were able to get them to demolish the structure. And instead of an eyesore, we now have a nice vacant lot ready for redevelopment and hopefully back to its highest and best use. And there we go.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Ms.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Morris. We will continue to move on. The next person presenting is Antonio Valenzuela. Mr. Valenzuela is our Public Works Director. So I will turn it over to him.
Good evening, Councilwoman Willis and City Manager Jones. It's my pleasure to bring up updates on the Public Works Department to District 3. I'm going to be very respectful of the time, and I'll be going over projects that the community has been inquiring. And if there are any other projects that I might not be listing here or any other updates, please do not hesitate to contact me directly. That I'll be glad to provide you a response and an update. Here, I want to update to you on the CIP project, which stands for Capital Improvement Program. It is a project that has 80% of federal funds and 20% of local match. It is the Butler Road at Stonewall Tail, which will be the first federal funded project that the city of South Fulton will be led from the inception. The city became LAP certified sometime last year, and we were able to manage with Georgia DOT to bring all the funds in place. At this time, we're just waiting on a notice to proceed from the state back to us. As soon as we receive that notice to proceed, the vendor will be received as well a notice to proceed from the city of South Fulton. We're hoping that everything works out for us and issue a notice to proceed as early as the first week of March. This particular project will be the first project that will have 2 roundabouts in the state of Georgia. So I'm very excited to lead this project for the city, as well as being one of the first projects that the city will have on the type of roundabouts that we have these days. With regards to transportation, TS Plus projects, which stands for Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Taxes. It is a project that started in Fulton County in 2016. It was approved. And as last year, we were able to contract all the projects that we had on the books while we were at Fulton. So currently, we are able to manage those projects that are going to design, rights of acquisition, and subsequently will be going into construction. A few projects to mention for you, it is the Butner Road and Union Road. The project is in final design. We have met with the community about 2 years ago or so. We are doing everything we can to advance the project for rights of acquisition. So we have about 10 parcels, and we hope that we can move very quickly with all private property owners, where they are impacted somehow. As soon as the rights of acquisition is completed, we will proceed with construction. We hope that construction can start on this project on August of this year. Butner Road and Pinman Road. It's another intersection that we want to make the improvements. The traffic studies and conceptual design began late last year. And as soon as the concept is complete, we will be having a public meeting with this project and others, possible 2 or 3 projects at a time. And we will be receiving input from you. We'll be discussing the pros and cons of the project. We will be presenting 2 to 3 alternatives. And out of those 3, we will be selecting the best alternative that it is online with engineering studies, as well as well perceived by the community. Then we'll proceed with the design. We're anticipating that this project can go to construction sometime next year. Campbellton, Fairmont, Johns Road. It is also a project that has TS Plus projects, but TS Plus funding, but we were able to negotiate with the state. So the state will take the lead on this project, and we're hoping that it moves along the lines, and we're working with them to ensure that this can be led to design as quickly as possible. And then moving out into rights of acquisition, and after that, construction. So this project, it's going to be it's going to be a roundabout, and forecasted on the future for a dual for 2 lanes roundabout. Next page, please. The Old Fairmont Union Road. You have Old Fairmont Union Road as well as Stonewall Taylor Union Road. 2 intersections that are much needed in the area, and those projects are in final design, which we're working with utility companies, rights of acquisition, and preparing the documentation for final bids. On Old Fairmont Union Road, we have 8 parcels. We're doing the pre-acquisition work to a consultant. And for Stonewall Taylor Union Road, we have 11 parcels. We're also, that project is actually under rights of acquisition as well. And then the key for us is to complete the rights of acquisition and let the project to construction. We want to let both projects to construction at once. Stonewall Taylor at Jones and Pinman Road. It's under the design phase. This traffic studies and conceptual design began late last year. We're going to be going into public meetings. Most likely will be virtual meetings where we're going to be presenting to you 2 to 3 concepts. Again, we will discuss with you the pros and cons of the project, and we'll be selecting the best concept that applies to engineering and the community, and then we'll proceed with the design. We're looking at construction-wise, if everything goes smooth on the project, at next year's April of 2022. Washington Roosevelt Highway. It's another project that has T-plus funds, but we were able to negotiate with the state. The state is upfronting the funds. We'll be responsible for a few things, but it will not cost that much money to the city. So at this point, the project's on the final design with Georgia DOT. They have 6 parcels that needs to be acquired, and the right-of-way acquisition started last year. As you know, every time that we do a rights of acquisition, it goes through multiple steps before we actually, or before the consultants can approach property owners and start negotiating the needs for a particular project. At this point, I don't have exactly the laying date, but I'm looking to complete the rights of acquisition this year, and then we'll follow with the construction. Next slide, please.
That was all you submitted, Mr. Venezuela.
Okay, so in essence, I have given you all the transportation projects that are within District 3 of Councilwoman Willis. And if you have any questions for me, I'll be glad to respond in other areas. As you know, Public Works, it is responsible for maintaining the rights of way of the project. We're also responsible for URA management, for maintaining our facilities. We are responsible for providing solid waste, the Merck Miles transfer station, where we're forecasting on April, keeps City of South Fulton clean. We will have another event. It will be sometime in April. We haven't set the date yet, but as soon as we finalize all the pre-work of that date, we will make it available to Councilwoman Willis, and I'm sure she and communications will have all the information ahead of time. With that, I appreciate the time and consideration given to me.
Mr. Venezuela, I really appreciate, can we go back to that slide? I really appreciate you providing this update to the community. I want to go ahead and give you your questions relative to Public Works so that we could move on. Ms. Evelyn Brooks, who handles issues regarding pothole damages to vehicles. She has a pending case that has been outstanding for over a year. I did provide a response to her and stating that she should send that information in to me and I'll forward it to the city manager, but our risk manager department handles that and we can follow up on that. Did I answer that correctly?
Yes, ma'am. Anything that comes with claims, it needs to go to risk management.
Okay. The other question came from Ms. Patricia Wilson, and she is concerned about the warehouses on Stonewall Tail. And Ms. Patricia Wilson, I did have a conversation with you last week, and I explained to you that the warehouse development is coming from the city of Union City, which is not our jurisdiction. We can't control what they do. We did speak about the Burn Mountain, the Grass Mountain, that's Walmart.com, and I did send you an email, and I copied you on the email with the mayor of Union City, and I encourage you to tell people in the Stonewall Tail Manor community that you will need to write or email the mayor of Union City because we can't control what happens in that jurisdiction. I am very upset about it as well, but it's not, the warehouse is not coming from the city of South Fulton, and we're not developing any warehouses. Most of the land on South Fulton Parkway is owned by the city of Union City. And, you know, it's, you can move mountains with many people advocating. So I would encourage your community to send him emails, call him and tell him to do whatever it takes to get that Burn Mountain, Grass Mountain into shape because it's impacting our community. And I copied you on that email. Jill Pope, what's being done about Button Road and Stonewall Tail? Looks like the sentence is cut off. Can you Pete, what's being done about Stonewall Tail and Butner Road, Mr. Willis?
Yes, ma'am. We are, I will just say, a few days short of getting the notice to proceed from the Georgia DOT. As soon as they have given us the green light, we're going to issue a notice to proceed to our contractor, and we should be going to construction. So we're going to ensure that we put some kind of signage out there, but the project will be built under three phases. There are three stages because it's going to be built under, we're not going to close entirely that road, but we will close some areas and build it under traffic. We're going to authorize the vendor to provide some traffic panels where the community will be advised on how to follow the road as well. And the first steps that construction typically takes is that the vendor is responsible for all utility relocations before they do anything on the ground. So there are a few utility companies that they need to move their utilities so the vendor can get in. But we will be, I will just say as early as the first or second week of March, we should be, you should see some stuff at that location.
Okay, it looks like you said the construction date is August. Did something happen to the slide? It seems like the construction date, you said the construction date will be August 2021 for that, that's Union and Butner. I'm sorry. The construction date for Butner and Stonewall Tail.
For Butner and Stonewall Tail, it's going to take us, it's 248 days, which is available days. So it's almost a year. It's going to take us about a year to finalize that project. But we will do everything we can to, that's always our intention to finish our jobs as early as possible. But it is
when is the construction date? I guess that's what everybody's. When does the construction date start?
Construction should start, if we get everything in place from the state, we're looking at March 2021 and April 2022 completion.
Okay. All right. Next question for you is coming from Wanda Patterson. Well, it's a code enforcement question. She says she's contacted and need the properties in your neighborhood have trash debris around the property. This has been going on since November. Ms. Patterson, Mr. Morris put his contact information in the chat. If you could send that information directly to Mr. Morris, he will have an inspector, he will have a code enforcement come out and inspect that property. All right, Ms. Rogers is inquiring about the code enforcement's response and the open ticket that she's talking about the spill in her community. I know Mr. News sent her something last Wednesday and said that you all were making an assessment. Do you have any update on the spill, on what they're going to do?
On the spill, okay, yes. I see. On the spill at that location, unfortunately, it's not an easy task to get rid of that kind of spills, and I understand it's a decent size. I spoke with Jacobs this afternoon, and I have asked them to provide different materials that can help out to get rid of that area. If not, eventually traffic, it will allow to, those marks will fade out with I would just say 3 to 5 months, it will be going away. But it is unfortunate that what happened at that location, but we will also, as you stated, we believe they came from a source that I don't want to mention it because we're not 100% how it occurred, but we'll be working with code enforcement sometime tomorrow and see how we can expedite that location to avoid happening again.
Okay, can you all please contact Ms. Rogers directly and let her know what the next steps are for that spill? I know
yes, ma'am.
She was sent an email last Wednesday, but contact her directly. Ms. Wilson, Ms. Wilson, you sent another email concerning warehouses, and you said you need more information. There's no more information I could give you. The warehouse development is in the city of Union City. I provided you the mayor of Union City email address. You will have to give your complaints directly to that mayor. There's nothing the city of South Fulton can do. It's not in our jurisdiction. We can't control what what the Union City municipality decides to do in a municipality. There's nothing I can do. There's no more information I can give you. You have to deal with that mayor, and hopefully, I'm asking you to get with your community, and all of you all deal with him, because he's not going to listen to one person. Thank you. All right. I think that's it. Well, let me make sure I know. Can blinking lights be placed at Stonewall Tail and Union Road? Mr. Willis, isn't that where a roundabout is going?
Yeah, we're gonna have a roundabout at that location. And then I believe we haven't had yet, you said Butler Road, Union Road?
Yes, it says, no, Stonewall Tail and Union Road.
Okay.
Isn't that where the roundabout is going?
Yeah.
Can you go back?
No, that's another location.
Oh, that's another location?
Yeah, we have, let me see. Stonewall Tail at Union Road. We just led that project to design. So the consultant will be doing all their part, and we'll be going into a rights of acquisition on July. So it's going to construction by April 2022. So we will not be doing anything until the project goes to construction.
Okay. If you have registered, I have your email. So what I am going to do is send the schedule of construction projects that Mr. Willis went over, so that you will see and have an idea when these projects will proceed, because he went over each of these projects. So I'll email that to you and put it in my next newsletter as well.
Yeah, Councilwoman Willis, Mr. Jones, I believe she was in the process of sending a transportation status report for all the districts. And then you're gonna have that very soon. Maybe she already sent it out, but on that status report, we have the current status of each of the projects that I went over, and to include the rest of 6 districts that we have in the city.
Okay, thank you. Can you please place, okay, is there any plan to keep the litter and debris policed up in the marketplace? We don't control the marketplace. That's not our jurisdiction. That is the city of East Point and Atlanta. The city of South Fulton has nothing to do with that marketplace. Is any work being done on looking in areas where people can frequently, wait a minute, what happened to the question? Is any work being done on looking at areas where people can frequently run over street signs, signals, and determine the needs to be done due to the increase in traffic? Mr. Willis, that's a question for you. What they want to know is, are we looking at the street signs are being frequently run over, and so they're looking at, are there any other options we're looking at? Are we going to place more signals so that we can prohibit street signs from being run over?
It is one of the major problems that we have at certain areas where we have change from perhaps a stop sign to a blinking light. We have about 8 locations now. It's all about budget, and it's all about what we want to do with intersections. But okay, we are working with PD, and then as soon as they do their part, it's possible that we can add perhaps some radar speed limit radars that we bought last year, but ideally it would be nice to bring more. But we have so many areas, but I'm glad that PD is also enforcing more speeds. That it is, I mean, we take the lead on the speeding in South Fulton, unfortunately. And hopefully okay, it will slow down somehow.
Okay, we're going to wrap up these questions. The 18-wheelers off of Old Fairburn Road and the speed enforcement cameras, that falls under public safety. So we'll let Chief Deputy Rogers address those because those are law enforcement issues. They want to know, are we Are there any plans to add turning lanes at Butler Road, both sides at Camp Creek Market, at Camp Creek Parkway intersection? The Butler Road, they want to know if there are any
Yeah.
plans.
That project, it is under rights of acquisition right now. It's gonna be a project that we're gonna widen that bridge. We're gonna have a right turn, extended right turn from the bridge all the way down to Camp Creek Parkway. We're gonna have a dedicated left turn from the current bridge to the intersection and a 2-lane as well. So the project will be an intersection improvement and a bridge replacement at that location. It is our intention to build that project under open traffic. So there will be some issues. So we want a construction we're gonna have soon. And unfortunately, when construction happens, things change as well. So as soon as the rights of acquisition is completed, we're going to let the project we're gonna put the project for invitation to bid and hopefully go to construction right after. I have the schedules on that project as well. It will be better, I think, for me to provide to you. You'll have the entire transportation status report where every project has on schedule.
Okay, and then we're gonna wrap it up so we can move on to the next presentation. Ms. Wilson said, we're working with our residents. We will get in touch with Union City Mayor, but you could at least hear what we want to ask you before you just stop conversation. You need to hear the total concerns. Ms. Wilson, I have heard the total concerns and I know the total concerns. And if you recall, Wanda Mosley, who lives in my district, was the only one from the city of South Fulton going to the Union City meetings to express their grievances about these warehouses. I also attended those planning meetings, and also Councilmember Gilliard. We were the lone wolves. There was no one going to those meetings in Union City with us. Again, there's power in numbers. I know the concerns. I deal with the concerns. I live with the concerns. I deal with the Coca-Cola sales center in the back of my home and hear truck traffic all through the night. I'm dealing with them on that. At the end of the day, the person that you have to address is the Union City mayor. There's power in numbers. Take your community, have them write letters, have them advocate to clean up Walmart.com. I, as your city council person, have done that. Your mayor have done that. We have to, you have to get your community to do it at this point, because we have no legal standing in the city of South Fulton to make Union City do anything. Trust me, if I did, I will be the first to do it. Thank you. Next presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am.
I did want to share with the citizens who are on the webinar tonight that if for any reason you need to report a service issue, for example, if you have potholes in your street, for example, if there is litter, for example, if you have noticed signs down within our city limits, I would encourage you to please report that to us. The call center number that is available 24 hours, 7 days a week. And if all of you all would please grab a pen to write this down, and we will also put it in the chat. The phone number is 470-552-4311. Again, that's 470-552-4311. And we have call center individuals taking these calls, recording them, putting it through our data in C-Click-Fix, and that gives the staff an opportunity to follow through and track a resolution on a particular item. So I just definitely wanted to share that this evening. Next person up is our city clerk, and his name is Corey Adams. Corey?
Thank you, Madam City Manager, and good evening to Mayor Pro Tem Willis and the residents of District 3. As Ms. Sadler Jones mentioned, my name is Corey Adams, and I have the pleasure of serving as the city clerk. Many people want to know, what does the city clerk do? Our primary role is to maintain the records, records retention, records management, and also all the actions that the mayor and city council perform at the council meetings. We also handle elections. We also handle proclamations, board boards and commissions, and various other administrative duties. On the screen, you have the approved mayor city council meeting work schedule for all of the council meetings. You have the work sessions, which are held on the second Tuesday at 4 p.m. The work sessions are meetings where mayor and council receive reports as well as presentations regarding operational issues for their information that they can ask questions and vet out different ideas. You also have the zoning hearings, which is a new meeting that the mayor and council have introduced. This is done at 6 p.m. on the second Tuesday. And then the final meeting that is held by mayor and council is the regular meetings. This is held on the fourth Tuesday at 4 p.m. The regular meetings are the meetings where the mayor and council take action on various items, resolutions, ordinances, and things of that nature. Now, before pre-COVID, we enjoyed having our citizens come to our meetings and participate through the public comment process. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we've had to go online through meetings such as this one through Zoom. But there is an opportunity for citizens to provide public comment, and the mayor, council, and staff welcome its citizens to make public comment. The process to provide public comment is provided on the website. We encourage all citizens to start at the website. On the homepage, there is a button right below the pictures for public comment. Once you click on that public comment button, it takes you to the public comment at council meetings page. On that page, it outlines the protocol for how do you participate in the council meetings. As I mentioned before, the regular meeting is the meeting where mayor and council have set aside 30 minutes for citizens to provide public comment. Each citizen is provided 2 minutes, and then we move on to the next person. Once you go to that webpage on the city website, there is a link there that is the public comment form. It's in capital letters. You click on that link and you provide your name, address, your district that you reside in, as well as your public comment. And then you submit that. That comes. Mr. Phil, okay. Once you complete that form, it comes into my office. And at the next regular council meeting, we read that message in its entirety. And then at least 2 days after the meeting, we provide the full content of that form to mayor and council so they can read it themselves as well as have a record of it. Regarding the zoning hearings, the process is the same. We ask that you complete that form and your written comments will be read at the zoning hearing. In January, we introduced a new feature which would allow the public to be able to come into the Zoom and provide live public comment. We're really excited about this, and we want to get the information out to the public so that they know the proper process to come into the Zoom meeting and provide your comment. That all starts again with the website. You complete the form, and on the bottom of the form where you have your comment section, you have to put at the top, I want to provide public comment. That alerts me that I need to record your name and actually send you a Zoom invitation to come into the meeting. On that page, additionally, is the process for how you come into the meeting and then how we will release you from the meeting so that the meetings can remain efficient and the mayor and council can complete their process. I'll wrap up shortly. Another process is the open records request. That process is, as of 2020, is managed through an online system. So once again, you come to the city's website. On the homepage, there is a button that says open records request. You click on that button and you basically provide your name and the department that you are requesting information from and the specific document that you're seeking. The system automatically routes that to the appropriate department. The staff determines whether or not we have responsive documents. And then the response is actually provided through the same system. And then you will get an email to let you know that your documents are ready. It's a pretty efficient process, and we encourage citizens to not only ask questions, but seek information, where appropriate. Lastly, just wanted to let everyone know 2021 is an election year. We want to announce that the qualification period for the office of mayor, districts 2, 4, and 6 will be on the ballot on November 2nd, 2021. Qualification for those seats will be August 16th through the 20th, 2021. For more information on qualification and elections for the city of South Fulton, please visit the city clerk's webpage, and there's an election page with more information. With that, I will just close with saying that we encourage you to contact us if we can help you in any way. We are more than willing to do it. Once again, my name is Corey Adams, and my email address is corey.adams@cityofsouthfultonga.gov. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Mayor Pro Tem Willis, and I appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to provide this information.
Corey, can you please place your information in the chat for the community to get, please? I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I want to reiterate that you all can go live with your public comments. Please make sure you are registered to get that information timely so that we can ensure that you can speak during public comment period during council meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Next up is Gary Leftwich. Gary is our Communications and External Affairs Director. Gary.
Ms. Sadler-Jones, thank you so much. And thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Willis, and to you, the citizens of District 3, first of all, for allowing me to share a little bit about our team tonight and for the opportunity to serve you. We have recently updated our team structure, where before we were sort of each of us a jack of all trades. We are now focused on the specific strengths and desires of each member of our team. So we have a person that manages all of our digital strategy, which is the web, social media, our phone app, our newsletter. We have another team member with a background in media who is focused on media relations and communicating with the media, and they are in charge of a special project, which I'll tell you about in a minute. And then we are now getting into, as we grow as a department, an internal communication program, which we're working on. We just launched an internal newsletter. We're about to launch an internal daily news digest. And those things are, you may wonder why I'm telling you about them, because they're internal. They are methods by which we can equip ourselves and our colleagues on the staff with information they need to better do their jobs and to better provide service for you. So we are working to build that culture of quick information sharing within the city. At the same time, our title is Communication and External Affairs. External Affairs is more, I refer to it as community relations. And so we are also, that person will focus on developing that. I've got a background in that, 20 years in corporate communication and community relations, another 10 in newspapers. So I will be assisting with that as well. And with that, we have retooled our mission. Our mission is very simple, very direct. Our mission as a department is to engage and inform the residents of South Fulton to build a better South Fulton. And so to do that, we've really been working hard on our infrastructure, the tools that we use to connect with you. Many of you may have seen, we last fall unveiled an updated, retooled website that is much easier on the eyes and much more intuitive and user-friendly. We are working every day because we did not do a complete rebuild of the website. We did what's called a transfer in place. So we got a new look and feel, and now we're having to go back and manage some of the transition issues of some of the content. So we are currently always updating those. And some of the things that we're doing on the website, Mr. Adams just mentioned the citizen comment. We are put right there on the front. If If you go to the website, you will see the tabs across the top, and then down across the bottom of the image, there are 6 icons that you can push on to get to different subjects, different content of the website. One of those that we just updated is now called public comments. So you can go to the website, click that button, and you'll be taken right to the forms and the information that Mr. Adams described. At the same time, we have created a blog for the city on the website that allows you to track, and we call it Where Your Money Goes. And so that blog focuses on some of our URA, urban redevelopment authority projects, such as the works we're doing in our parks and with our fire stations and in Parks and Rec and Public Works. It also allows you to track other capital improvement projects as well as T-Splosh projects. So on there now are updates on the roundabout that Mr. Valenzuela just spoke about, as well as the Cascade Road Bridge. There are updates on some new outdoor fitness equipment that is going in at Trammell Crow and Wilkerson Mill Parks. So we hope to update that every week, if not maybe every 2 weeks, to keep those current so that you can check and see where your money goes. Again, there's a button icon right on the front page, so you can click, one click, you're on that blog. In addition, so outside of the website, our social media, we have done an audit of our social media to find out exactly who is listening, who is commenting when, and when the content is best posted, what kinds of content we're doing, making sure that everything we post is informative and engaging. With that, we are working to build our audience and really develop that as a mechanism for reaching part of our audiences, of you, the residents, working better with social media. But at the same time, we realize that not everyone's on social media, not everyone's computer savvy. So we are working about as within budget constraints, about as efficiently as we can. Mailers, we will do some, but they're just the cost prohibitive at this point. But we are really going to work with email, and we are creating a master email list based on, and we're reaching out, not trying to reach out to everybody. We are reaching out to the gatekeepers, your HOA leaders, your faith-based leaders, your business merchant group leaders, your chamber leaders. And we will be sharing with them every bit of information that we put in a press release or on social media, so they can cascade that down to their email lists. And we are reaching people in yet another way. We hope to take a key cross section of those people in those groups and create a citizens ambassador committee where we bring 15, 20 people in once a quarter or so and share what's going on within the city, our triumphs, our challenges, what we have planned, and share those with that group in hopes that they go back and share that through word of mouth with their friends and their neighbors. And we're very excited about getting back to some of that personal contact, because that's where you're engaged. We can talk on social media all day, but again, we want to engage you as part of the effort to better this city and provide world-class service. We did launch last fall. We are in the second class of South Fulton U, which is our Citizens Academy. We have about 46 people in the fall, 46 people in the now winter that are going through this. It's an 8-week course where, just as we're doing tonight, each of the departments in more detail provide a view of what they're doing, how they work, how they operate, and allow people to ask questions. And all of that is hopefully, again, building that engagement. We started a new video series. We're in the 5th month, I believe, and it was a lot of questions last 4th of July about fireworks, and then there have been questions about use of ATVs in the city. And so the thought was, let's talk about those laws to educate people on the proper use of those things. At the same time, we wanted to provide some safety tips direct from our police department. And then we wanted, with the last summer and the unrest that happened, we wanted to give a view into how your police department works. So we're talking about training, we're talking about what our department does to recruit. And so when someone, me included, when you find yourself in violation or find yourself doing something maybe that was not proper, you always say, well, now you know. I didn't know. So the name of the video series is called Now You Know, and we want to have that discussion up front. We are now working on a new corporate style logo for the city, so we are developing a brand identity and developing a marketing plan for the city that works in tandem with economic development. And so most cities, if you notice, have gotten away from the old style city seal. They've elevated that for official use, but they have a more corporate style logo. And so we are working, we have a design for that we hopefully will be debuting in coming weeks. And finally, one of the things that we are very proud, and this was a reaction to a request from a council member, that we developed some anti-littering messaging. And as I sat back and thought about that, and we thought about it as a team, it's a much bigger effort than just anti-littering. You can tell people not to litter all day long, but you've got to focus on the positives in terms of an overall beautification program and why it is important to keep properties clean, to have your avenues looking great. And so we have launched the South Fulton Beautification Project, and we are in the early stages of that. We had an event in January called Get Fitter Without Litter, and we gave out bags, gloves, masks, and we encourage people, as you're on your daily walks, pick up some trash. And we will be doing more of those things. We really will ramp up in April with, it is Keep America Beautiful month, as well as, Earth Day. And so we will be launching some efforts and some projects to get people involved. We will be building corporate partnerships to fund part of what we do. We will be building partnerships, again, with the faith-based groups, the business merchants groups. So the whole focus is, why is it important to keep our city clean? For the economic development, the recruitment reasons, for health reasons, and for just general pride in your community. So look for more on that. There is an anti-litter component in it called Don't Trash South Fulton. And so we are working, again, to build a lot of infrastructure within communications so that we can better deliver messaging. But again, we are also community external affairs, and we want to engage you in a lot of what we're doing and partner with you, because this is your city, this is your home, and we want to ensure that we help you make it the best it can be. And as our tagline says, where you want to be. So those are just a few highlights. I know the time is getting away from us, so I'm going to wrap up there, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And I will put our department's email in the chat. Reach out anytime. And thanks again for the opportunity to not only speak to you tonight, but to work for you. And the whole team is very eager to make sure that we provide the world-class service that you deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. The only thing I want to follow up on, it was a question from Ms. Ransom, and she wanted to know what is public comments. And as we go ahead and start pulling up the next presentation, the public comments is a period at the beginning of every council meeting that will allow for residents to speak on whatever issue you have with the city for up to 2 minutes. Your question is there any response to public comments? Yes. Whatever your issue is, whatever you're complaining about, the respective department will reach out to you or address your concern on the spot that night. But most of the time they will reach out to you afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Leftwich. Coming up next is Tony Phillips, our Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs Director. Tony.
Good evening, District 3, and let me begin by thanking Councilwoman Willis and our City Manager, Tammy Sadler-Jones, for the opportunity to speak with all of you residents this evening. It is always a pleasure to be able to talk directly to residents, and I'm honored to serve as one of the public servants in the city where I grew up. I want to take a few moments this evening to talk about a couple of the highlights that we have in Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. First and foremost, I'd like to talk about the South Fulton Tennis Center. We are so excited about this opportunity at the South Fulton Tennis Center. We are the city making over a $500,000 investment into the tennis court reconstruction, which is currently underway. It will include, as you see, completely new playing surfaces, 20 hard surface and 4 clay courts, new striping, nets, poles, and other equipment. For those of you who are part of the tennis community, or if you're not, there's a couple of different ways you maintain tennis courts. One of them is to resurface, which is basically kind of filling in cracks and painting over the existing courts. The more significant step is to reconstruct, literally rebuild the entire court system. And that's what we're undertaking at the South Fulton Tennis Center. We've been working with the USTA, the United States Tennis Association, as one of our partners as we go through this process. And they have worked with all major tennis centers in our area for a number of years. And they've told us that this is the newest reconstructed tennis center in Metro Atlanta in over 20 years. And so this is a great opportunity for us. We're really looking forward to it. It is one of the larger municipal tennis facilities in the state of Georgia. And so it's going to be a real asset to District 3, to the residents of the city of South Fulton, first and foremost. And it will also be a regional destination facility. It will host tournaments and other large-scale activities that will bring in assets to the city. And we're really excited about that. It's on track right now to complete early summer of this year. And so we are really excited about that process and looking forward to being able to welcome all of our District 3 residents back to the South Fulton Tennis Center. Another big update that I wanted to share with you this evening is our ongoing partnership with the Marquise Grissom Baseball Association, who are working and programming at Welcome All Park. For those of you who may not be baseball fans, Marquise Grissom is a South Fulton native. He, along with Councilwoman Willis's husband and myself, are proud graduates of Lakeshore High School. So he grew up in our community, spent 17 years playing in Major League Baseball. In fact, he caught the final out of the only World Series championship the Atlanta Braves had. But more importantly, in the last 15 years, he's been dedicated to working with youth. And in that time, he has programmed over 1,600 students. 98% of the baseball players that come through his association have gone on to receive collegiate scholarships, totaling over $2.3 million. So this is a major effort that Councilwoman Willis helps us to bring to Welcome All Park. It's going to help youth throughout the city and throughout the district. In addition to all of the wonderful things they do in sports, they also have a wonderful after-school program as well. And so we're looking forward to continuing that partnership as we move forward and hopefully are able to begin in-person programming at some point during this year. Marquise Grissom Baseball Association will be a key partnership for us. And so that's an exciting thing that we continue to build on as we move forward. I spoke with them within the last week. They are excited, looking forward to when we can come back and begin to do things in person again. And so that's going to be a big asset for us in the city of South Fulton. A couple of annual events that take place in District 3 include our Fall Festival. We have been partnering with Councilwoman Willis on that for a number of years. It's grown every single year. And so we're looking forward to being able to hopefully do that again in 2021. It's a major activity, and we partner with not only Councilwoman Willis, but businesses in the community. We're looking forward to doing that again this year. And then it is also the home of the Yeek Fest. And this is an organization that kind of commemorates some of the culture from our city over the last several years. They've been doing their annual event at Welcome All for a number of years as well. We also have an ongoing partnership with the Atlanta Hawks. Many of you have probably seen the Hawks court that is just outside of Welcome All Recreation Center. That partnership is alive and well and is going really, really well. We're looking forward to continue to work with the Hawks as well. Lastly, I wanted to take a few minutes to tell you about our ongoing master plan. A master plan is really a collaborative effort to build a roadmap and a vision for where we'd like to go in the city over the next 10 years for parks, recreation, and cultural affairs. It actually has 5 stages to it. We've completed the first 2, which were context analysis and a needs and priority assessment, where we did a statistically valid survey that touched over 1,300 residents across the city. So we've got a good handle on that initial needs and priorities The phase that we're going into right now is long range visioning. We'll be working, of course, with our city council members, our city leadership, our city manager, and as well as you in our communities to start looking at where we'd like to go as it relates to programs, as it relates to facilities, as it relates to everything we do in parks, recreation, and cultural affairs. It's a real opportunity for us to take that vision and put it into a real and tangible plan. So we're looking forward to that. We have got one of the most renowned consultants in the country that's helping us with this Parks Master Plan process. And as we move forward from phase 3 envisioning to an implementation plan, ultimately this plan will be presented to our city council for approval and adoption. Those are just a few of the highlights in the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs arena. There are several other things that we are working on that are in the early stages. I look forward to being able to come back and speak with you at the next town hall in District 3 to tell you more details about the many things that we're excited about in Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. And with that, I will take any questions. I believe I saw one that may have popped up in the chat.
The number one question for you, Tony, is residents are asking, when will Parks and Recreation programming resume in our parks? And the only way, yeah, I'll let you go ahead. And the other question is about the walking and biking trail. Go ahead.
I'll take the walking and biking trail first. And so that is a significant component of this master plan that we are currently working on. There was an old existing trail net plan from Fulton County that we've kind of taken and updated as part of the master plan, a component that has trails and a system for connecting trails across the city and through our parks. So that's really going to be an important part of this plan. When we did that statistically valid survey that I referenced earlier, walking trails was one of the most popular things that our residents told us they'd like to see in Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. And so you can be assured that's going to be a significant component as we go forward. How do we connect those trails? How do we develop new trails? How do we connect to existing trails is all going to be a part of the plan. As it relates to when are we going to go back to programming, that is a work in progress. You know, all of us are anxious. I can tell you that our staff is ready to go. I know that you as residents want us to be able to move back in that direction, but all of us understand that we have to do so in a way that is safe so that we can keep our residents, our communities healthy. We are having an ongoing dialogue now, first and foremost with our city leadership, and then of course with our city council to talk about what that timing looks like. There's more information that we have today than when we started this a year ago. We learned a lot over the past year about public health guidelines, about ways to keep our communities safe as we look at low risk programming options. The timing of that, again, is something that we'll consult with leadership and our elected officials to decide when is the best time to move forward on that. We are already making plans to do so. We're looking at the best way we can go about doing that. We've already started equipping our recreation centers with some of the things we'll know that will need to be in place as part of our new normal, being able to check temperatures as people come into facilities, being able to disinfect. So we're thinking through those things now, and the timing hopefully will be coming forward in the near future. Again, that's a collaborative process where we consult with our leadership and our elected officials to figure out exactly when is the best time to do that and to do it in a healthy and safe way. What I can tell you is the moment we're able to do that and that we can do so and keep everybody safe, we are anxious and looking forward to being able to do so.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phillips. And next, Christopher Pike, our Destination South Fulton Director. I'll turn it over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Madam City Manager. Mayor Pro Tem Willis, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening and talk to the residents about some of the things that we have going on as it relates to economic development. As you all know, economic development is one of those departments that are new to the city of South Fulton and what was unincorporated Fulton County. Some of the other departments kind of transitioned over with the new city, but we started economic development really from scratch. And so, as I tell people when we first came here, our economic development toolbox was empty, and it was our goal and our objectives to fill up that economic development toolbox so that we could engage in those type of quality of life developments that people in the city have said they wanted to see. Next slide. So how did we fill up the toolbox? Well, we created several initiatives that really helped us fill up that toolbox and get us ready to engage in economic development in the city. So one of the first things that we did In the first, when I first got here, was our Freeport tax exemption. That's an inventory tax incentive for individuals or companies that make products and services. And so we offer 100% Freeport tax exemption on all 4 inventory classes that's allowed by state law. We also worked to change the hotel motel tax to 8%. Uh, by doing that, we're able to utilize some of that sales tax to do other type of promotional activities for the city. One of the things that created out of that was the Convention and Visitors Bureau, which we're beginning to do a lot of work around that. We're going to be launching a lot of promotional materials here in the next few weeks as it relates to the CVB, a new website, some promotional brochures, things to promote the area, things that I think people who've been here for years may not necessarily know these things are even in the city. So that's something that's going to be really cool to kind of see how those things are going to come about and all of the things that's coming out of that. The other thing was the creation of Destination South Fulton. So Destination South Fulton is our brand around economic development. I liken it to Select Fulton or Invest Atlanta or some of these other Choose Clayton names that you see. That's just our banneker, if you will, around economic development. And so we use that as our promotion. As you see, we have a logo associated with that as well. And so we use that when we're out promoting economic development throughout the city. One of the things that we did to both the South Fulton Development Authority and the South Fulton Downtown Development Authority, both of those entities are important as we look at partnering with the private sector to structure types of incentives and deals that we want to do to bring those types of quality developments to our community. So both of those were very important as we moved forward. We also wanted to point out that we created not only for Development Authority to do deals, but also the Collab South, which is our Small Business Resource Center, which is an opportunity for us to be very deliberate and engaged in creating entrepreneurs and supporting entrepreneurship in our city. And so I think the mayor and council should be applauded. I've worked in other municipalities where there was not as much support for small businesses, but our mayor and council have really committed to supporting small businesses and entrepreneurship. And so we have currently, we have one location in the Red Oak Historic District on Roosevelt Highway in the Wayfield Plaza, a small business resource center, which is currently not open to the public because of COVID. As soon as we opened it in February, we closed it in March of last year. So we look forward to welcoming people back soon, but the programming and the facilities in place to really begin to help businesses. And then we're working to open another one on Old National as well. And so both of those facilities will also house our Main Street program. So there'll be a Main Street district for the Roosevelt Highway, Red Oak area, and there'll be a district for Old National. And we will have full-time staff that will be housed in the Economic Development Department for the purpose of bringing investment to those areas, to those corridors. And so they'll spend their whole day in and day out, figuring out how to get investment into Old National, into the Red Oak area, which are areas that need new investment. And all of these things really came out of our economic development strategic plan, which is another item on this list that was approved by mayor and council back in October. As I tell people, this was a citizen-driven project. The ideas, the thought processes in that document were really came from the input from the citizens. And so we were able to create a very good document that for us, it helps us. We give that document to developers and they know exactly what the citizens of South Fulton want when they come to do business. So there's no question about the type and quality of development that we're looking for. If you go to the next slide, please. Again, just some highlights from the strategic plan. If you go to the next slide, the main focus of the strategic plan was to really call out these development nodes throughout the city. And one of the things that I am very conscious of when we're talking about economic development is not overdeveloping the community. And so what we don't want to do is, just because we have a piece of empty dirt, we don't want to go and put something on it. And so what we're focusing on are these 9 areas dispersed throughout the city. And then we want to engage developers to build those quality developments in those 9 commercial nodes, so that we don't create what I call sprawl and you have everything everywhere, because that creates a community that no one really wants to be a part of and wants to live in. So we want to be very deliberate and intentional about how we develop our city and where we put new projects as they come on board. And so our focus from an economic development standpoint is to focus on these 9 areas. Now, I want to preference that by saying there's development that happens in our community that doesn't come through our office or doesn't happen because we go out and recruit it. Some of these things happen just because of the natural course of business. And so what you'll see is there may be property that's not in one of these areas that's zoned for commercial use, and there might be something built on it. But those aren't necessarily projects that our office is going out trying to bring to our community. And just real quickly to go over these areas so you're familiar with them. This is if you have the bottom left corner there, the first green area, that's South Fulton Parkway and Cedar Grove area. Going up towards Campbellton, you have the Campbellton Crossroads project. That's a joint project with the city of Chattahoochee Hills, which is a very exciting project that we look to bring to the mayor and council here shortly. Just a plan of what Campbellton would look like if it had never gone away as a city. So that's very exciting. We also have 200 acres on the banks of the Chattahoochee River that we're really trying to look at doing some great development there, utilizing some access to the water, which is something that, I think is kind of gets underutilized on the south side. So trying to take advantage of that. Obviously, Sandtown, we've had some great action going over there. The Publix just opened in November. And so there's some other conversations that are being had about some other developments. There's some nice restaurants that are coming in. Some of those out parcels, Arden Gardens is coming in over there, which is a great win for the city as well. And then the question that's been asked since the time I got here is about where's town center going to be, where's town center? And so that was identified in the plan as well and approved by the mayor and council. So we're looking at basically that area between Enon and Butner, Camp Creek around Vandiver Lake as being the city center, and utilizing access to Camp Creek and access to Wolf Creek Amphitheater and some of the other things that we can build upon to really make that a great area. And then moving over to the east side of the city where we have Red Oak Plaza or Red Oak District, we are working again to bring that Main Street manager on board to really create this historical core. We are looking to have some new investment in that area as well. And so we're excited about the future of Red Oak and what that will look like. I think what you're seeing with Wayfield is just the beginning. And so they're going to see a lot more investment in that area over the next 5 years. And so we're really excited about that. And then again, going down Old National, looking at how do we reinvest resources and money in those areas. So Old National Commons, where grown folks and all of those businesses are, how do we reinvest and re-incentivize to bring new investment in those areas? How do we incentivize a developer to come in and look at what do we do at Camelot, Biscayne, those areas, and then going down to Old National Park and then Camp Creek and Jonesboro Road, again, doing some investment in that area. Next slide. Real quickly, I just want to touch on the tax allocation districts. That also was recently passed by mayor and council. This has been a long process. There's a lot of layers that go into establishing a TAD. But we successfully did that, not one, but 2 TADs. We have an East Side TAD, which covers the Red Oak Historic District and Old National. And then we have the West Side TAD, which covers most of Camp Creek going back to down to the Campbellton Town Center. And if you look at this map, you can see just how thoughtful we were. All of the commercial nodes that I showed you on the previous map, all of the 9 areas, they're in one of the 2 tabs. And so we wanted to make sure that not only did we say, hey, these are the areas we wanted to focus on, but we also layered it with our ability to be able to bring investment through incentives into those areas. And so they get equal incentives and equal access to capital for projects. And so we don't really do these plans in a silo. If you also look at our tax allocation district and our economic development strategic plan, they also are in line with the zoning rewrite that this happened. So we gave them a copy of the plan, and the zoning rewrite actually has the 9 commercial nodes in it. And we also talked with Parks and Recreation and their master plan. And so then this plan is also layered over the Parks and Rec master plan, so that we get the synergies of all the plans working together, so that we are not duplicating resources, wasting resources, and really just spinning our wheels when we can be working together to make all of these plans really come to fruition. Next slide. Again, this is just a zoomed in version of the East Side tab. Again, you can see the 4 commercial nodes that are spelled out in this tab. So the Red Oak District, Old National Commons, Old National Park, and Old National Jonesboro Road. This just speaks to some of our potential to invest funds. So we're looking at over the life of this tab to invest somewhere around, to entice or incentivize about $1.2 billion in new construction in that area over the life of this tax allocation district. Next slide. Again, this is the West Side tab. Again, you see we have 4 commercial areas in that tab as well. So Sandtown, the Town Center, Riverfront, and Campbellton. Again, the same principle. While our East Side tab is more redevelopment, our West Side tab is going to be new development. And so we're going to be 2 tabs with 2 totally different purposes. One is going to be heavy on new infrastructure, new investment. The other is going to be revitalization. And so they're both going to be investing in new capital, new resources, new incentives, but they're going to serve 2 different purposes. And again, this tab will generate about $1.4 billion in new construction over the life of that tab. Next slide. And with that, I see that we have one question about a hospital and medical complex. We definitely are working to do that. Those are, for the lack of a better term, a lot of that stuff is political, because hospitals are built based on a certificate of need. And those things are pretty hard to get. And so we're working to try to figure out how do we increase access to healthcare in the city. We have been working on some plans. We've been working on some feasibility studies. And so we know that that's definitely a priority, and definitely looking to make that happen and trying to entice someone to come.
The only other question you have is, you kept referring to TADs, and residents want to know what's the acronym for TAD, Tax Allocation District, and can you briefly explain what a tax allocation district is before we move on to the next presenter?
Sure. Well, let me get the easy question out first. The information about the town center, it can be found on the city's website. If you go to the city's, and I'll put it in the chat. If you go to the city's website, go down to departments, click on economic development. When the economic development page comes up, there's the strategic plan has its own link. You just click on that link, and the plan will come up where it has information about all the districts. So you can find more information about the town center. Real quickly on tax allocation districts. So the best way to explain it is that when you bring a project to an area, that increase in value in that project, we can use that increase to invest back in the project. So for example, let's say we had a piece of dirt, and that piece of dirt was generating $5 in property tax. This is just on property taxes. And in that $5, the school system gets a part of that, the city gets a part of that, and the county gets a part of that. So we wanted to get some investment on that $5 worth of dirt. So we put it in a tax allocation district. So in that first year is what we call the base rate. We're going to collect $5 in taxes. So the school system is going to get some of that, the city is going to get some of that, and the county is going to get some of that. So let's say we went and we built Ponce City Market on top of that dirt. So now the value of that dirt with the building on it is $10. Well, the county, the city, and the school system, they still get their fair share of that $5. The new $5 goes back to invest in that district. So what happens is we go to a developer and we say, listen, you know, we want to bring Whole Foods to the city of South Fulton, and we know that this isn't an ideal market, but to make that happen, we'll give you some incentives. So that extra $5 would be the incentives that we would use. The beautiful thing about it is it doesn't negatively impact the citizens. So people, if you're in a TAD, if you live near a TAD, if a business is in a TAD, they don't know that they're in a TAD because they just pay their property taxes normally, the normal way. It gets split up by the tax assessor on the tax assessor's end. So they still pay the same millage rate as everybody else pays in the city. Their bill's still going to be the same. You will know, it will say you're in a TAD, but your bill's going to be the same. And so the beautiful thing is the harder we work as an economic development staff, the more incentives we have or the more ability we have to bring those type of quality developments that we want to have to the community. And I will tell you, I'll be very frank and very honest, you know, we have to have very tough conversations with developers because, you know, it's no secret, but I'm just telling you because I see it every day. The stuff that they're building on the north side, they're not trying to build it on the south side. And you kind of have to force their hand to make them do it. And this, having these incentives will help us be able to get those type of developments that we quite frankly deserve. That's one of the great things. It's the TAD, or the tax allocation district, is the great equalizer. It helps us now be able to force some things to happen that weren't normally happening before.
Thank you, Mr. Pike.
You're welcome.
Ms. Sadler-Jones.
Thank you, Councilmember Willis. Thank you, Mr. Pike.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
will move on to our interim fire chief, Sterling Jones.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Councilmember Willis, for giving me an opportunity to kind of show a little bit of what the fire department is doing. And thank you to the citizens of District 3. My presentation won't take long. I just have a few slides to kind of give you an update on some of the things that we're doing in your community. Like Ms. Sadler-Jones said, I am Sterling Jones, the interim fire chief. And if you have any questions, just please put those into the chat and we'll make sure we can see if we can provide the answers for you. So first on the list is Fire Station 1. Fire Station 1, as many of you know, was one that was in really bad shape as far as construction and mold and the things of that nature. But Councilman Willis has worked really hard on getting us to where we are now. So I can say that that fire station is looking in pretty good shape. And one thing the slide indicates that the station is completed. There's a few more projects we're going to kind of do just to finish everything off. But by and large, that fire station is coming to its own, and it's come a long way from the original submission of where we were. So those were thanks to the diligence of city government and Ms. Willis. We can definitely say we have a station in your area that you can be proud of, and it gets a lot of use. So it's great to have for the women and men of that area to kind of have a good place to call home for that 24 hours. And next slide is, I wanted to kind of give you an idea of some of the things in far as response time, what we're doing. As you look at the amount of square footage or square mileage actually that Councilwoman Willis's district has, I wanted to kind of let you see exactly how we're responding to those areas and kind of give you an opportunity to keep some response examples of what we're responding to. So if you look at our response average, that's just a one snippet of a month. I don't want to get you the impression that that's kind of the year's bulk of the work. I just kind of pulled some statistics from last month just to kind of show you what we got going on. So when you see the business fire alarms and the residential fire alarms and you see some of the working fires, at this time of year, that's kind of common. And, but you see, as your fire department, we're busy. I mean, this is just from the response side. You can see the things we are. When you look and support your fire department, you make sure that you get your money's worth from us, because we're actively out providing service for the citizens. And that run volume, that call volume kind of gives you an example of what that looks like. That's a pretty decent call volume for any city or municipality. But as you go back and see South Fulton, that's kind of average for us. So we are pretty aggressive, pretty busy. And some of the other things that's not necessarily listed there, we're working on several education campaigns and things behind with community risk reduction. So those would be things that not prepared to kind of bring out now, but if you look into our website, we're going to start building that website out. Gary and the communication team is working really well with us to kind of talk about that branding and the things that we do and do well. And I think for one thing, we have to just kind of show you some of the things that we are doing and things we're planning on doing. So just kind of stay tuned for some of the things that we're doing, and you'll be surprised that the South Fulton Fire and Rescue will be blowing up, and we'll kind of show a lot of things that we do as far as providing community service and things of that nature. A lot of the calls and questions I get as far as burning, that information is also found on our website as far as when you can burn, what you can burn, nuisance burn, how do we get a burn permit, and all that stuff. So if you have any questions to that, please feel free to visit our website. You can contact me directly at sterling.jones@cityofsouthfultonga.gov. If you look in the fire department's website, you'll see my smiling face. Feel free to kind of reach out to us if there's things we can do for you or questions you have. We're more than receptive to make sure we can provide the answers for you. And hopefully I didn't talk too fast to kind of get the information, but I just kind of wanted to give you a kind of a brief overview of some of the things that we do. Do we have any questions for me?
No questions in the chat box.
Outstanding. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for giving me.
I'm sorry. One question. How many
Yes,
fire stations are located in the city of South Fulton? Wilson County. Are there plans to build more? We don't know what the county is planning on doing, but you can speak to the city, Mr. Conrad. Thank you for your question.
Yeah. Yeah, so right now, technically through our jurisdiction, there's 10 official stations, but 2 of those actually belong to the county. So in the city of South Fulton, there are 8 working stations that belong to the city proper. And there are discussions about meeting more of the needs of the public, but we're still kind of working through that as we work through our issues with ISO, get us to that elusive ISO 1. So there are going to be plans to have more fire stations there, because the more and more the population grows in the city of South Fulton, that demand for additional fire service will grow with that. And so there are some projected sites through our last Georgia Tech study and through our last ISO assessment of other fire stations. And I'm kind of not at liberty to kind of talk about those yet, because we're really very early in a discussion phase of it. There's nothing written in stone, but there are some discussions about possibly having more stations to come. But in that same vein, we still have to work on kind of fixing the stations we currently have, as well as expanding into new fire stations. Anything else?
Thank you, Chief Jones.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Next up is our Deputy Police Chief, Connie Rogers.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hold on a second, Miss Little. Where's the video?
I was gonna do it afterwards, but I can stop it and do it now. I was trying to keep from stop and share, but
okay, go ahead.
So if Deputy, hold on one second, Deputy Rogers, I'm gonna play the speed enforcement camera video that they just launched today. Give me 1 second.
This will maybe help clear some of your questions you have around the speed enforcement camera, Deputy Chief Rogers. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. Thank you.
If it's going to take okay. have the volume off. Less traffic means kids will be safer in school zones and in our communities. The safety program is in honor of Renaya Majors. She was an 11-year-old student at Sandtown Middle School full of life, and she was killed by a speeder speeding through the school zone.
The death of Renaya Majors impacted this community very heavily. I was there when Renaya was killed. I was there when the funerals was going on, and I saw the impact and the heartfelt sympathy from this community over the death of that young girl.
It is very important for the City of South Fulton and the Fulton County School Board to partner on our safety programs. We believe that safety is critical for all of our students and our faculty.
One of the complaints that I first got when I came in as a police chief was speeding through our school zones. We have 16 different school zones, and it's really important for us to understand that we don't have a police officer to put in every one of those school districts.
This whole concept of speeding cameras in our schools is really about safety. I think that's very important for people to know.
The preliminary results of the program have been very effective.
We've had an 82% overall reduction in speeders coming through our school districts.
25,000 fewer drivers are driving through our school zones. This means safer school zones for our students and our community.
It's extremely important for us to try to create a safe environment for our children to walk to and from school every day.
Traffic and congestion in a school system are not a good combination.
Unfortunately, Renaya lost her life. But fortunately, we gained some safety techniques in our community to save lives of other kids like Renaya Majors.
It's on you, Deputy Chief Connie Rogers. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. That video, that was my last bullet, but that video covered everything that I was going to address. Excellent, excellent video. Just want to start off by the sponsored 21st Century Policing Ordinance. When Chief and I got here in 2018, one of the things that we was very, very adamant about was implementing the 21st century policing model that was presented by President Obama's task force back in 2015. The task force covered 6 pillars. The 6 pillars are building trust and legitimacy. And I think with having avenues like we're having here tonight, that is one way that we in the city of South Fulton seek to build trust and legitimacy with everything that's been going on in the public, with all the high profile police brutality, giving back to the community and being available with full transparency is one way to build trust and legitimacy. The second pillar was policy and oversight. When we came in, we looked at all the policies that we had. Some had to be rewritten to make sure that we were adhering to the recommendations by this task force. Technology and social media. At any given time, you can go on our Facebook website. We constantly give updates about things that's going on within the city of South Fulton Police Department. Community policing and crime reduction is one of the big things in policing altogether. Our park rangers, our community services, the police department as a whole, we try to instill and develop in anybody who's currently work here and that we hire. We are trying to take the guardian mindset of policing, not the old just ticket everybody for everything, just taking on a more of a guardian mindset. Last year, overall, we had a 21% reduction in crime in the city of South Fulton. So we're constantly, and I think that's the relationships that we've built between the police department and the community. they're more acceptable to bringing information to us that is helping us to combat the small amount of crime that we have here and getting rid of those nuisances. The fifth pillar was officer training and education. Chief and I are big on training and education. You got to continue to develop new ways of doing things, and you have to allow your people to go to school. So we're very big. As a matter of fact, now we have a major and a captain this week who's at Command College, receiving some high-level leadership in policing that they're going to bring back to the city of South Fulton. That's only going to make this city a better police department. And the last one is officer safety and wellness. Just staying as safe as possible, that we want our officers to be able to do. We've given them, we have a small partnership with the LA Fitness on Old National, where officers are able to go and work out and do things of that nature. Moving on to the second bullet, District 3, it was the second lowest crime district in the city. I want to just touch on some of the crime that we've been experiencing since January of 2021. There have been 39 Part 1 crimes in District 3. 28 of those Part 1 crimes have been theft of vehicle, theft of articles from vehicle. So I just want the residents to stress to your neighbors, if you see something, tell people to lock your doors. If you have valuable items, take those items out of your vehicles. Don't leave those items readily able to be seen, because a lot of these crimes are opportunities. If you lock your doors, I know it's a cold, it's during those winter months, don't crank your car up and just go back in the house. A lot of times we're finding some of our theft of vehicles is because of the things of this nature. The third bullet, there's a precinct coming soon to Spring Road. I don't have any more detail about that, but I'm gonna put my email address in the comment section for later. Anybody who have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me. There will be my phone number as well. And the last bullet, the video spoke for itself. The biggest thing was safety of our kids and our residents, slowing down drivers. We've had a small amount of complaints because of during the pandemic, whether the school is in and out. My email address, if anybody has received a ticket and they feel like they wholeheartedly, the ticket was in the wrong, email me, we'll do some investigation, and if need be, we'll take care of the ticket for you. And that ends my presentation. I'll take any questions anybody may have.
Ms. Sally Jones is Deputy Chief Connie Rogers, the last presenter today.
Yes, ma'am, she is.
Okay, because I want to turn it over to you and Mr. Don Toms, and then we can open up the mic if anyone has any last questions, and we'll leave the mic open for about 5 minutes because it's about 8 o'clock and I want to respect everyone's time. I'll turn it over to you and Mr. Toms. I want to thank, before I turn it over, all the residents for participating in the first town hall of District 3. We had over 51 participants. That was amazing for this to be virtual. A great turnout. We will have another town hall next quarter, and I will make it more focused. Maybe park and recs and culture affairs, so we can spend more time. If you want me to come to your HOA meetings and have more intimate conversations with me, please reach out to my office. My contact information was put in the chat, and I will definitely come to your HOA virtual meeting until we can get past this pandemic. Again, stay safe, wash your hands, social distance. If you have a problem getting scheduled for vaccines, reach out to my office. I'll do what I can to help you. And I love you guys. Thank you for your support of me. And we're all in this together. I can't do this by myself. If it's concerning the city of South Fulton, let's figure it out together. Thank you, I'll turn it back over.
Mayor Pro Tem Willis, just one quick thing. In order for them to speak, they would have to raise their hand, and I have to give them a privilege to being able to speak. They can't just speak without me knowing they want to speak.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Ms. Sally Jones so she and Mr. Thomas can close it out, and then we can go there.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember Willis. Thank you again for the opportunity to spend the evening with District 3. Thank you for the great things that you do and the entire council and mayor does for the city of South Fulton. It gives me great pleasure and joy, and I am always humbled by the opportunity to serve this community. I take the office of the city manager very seriously. I mean, I don't take this lightly. This is a privilege to have this opportunity. I know a few of you had asked, what does the city clerk do? And some of the other positions that you heard today. Well, I'll tell you, the city manager's office, I am responsible for managing the daily operations of the city. I am appointed by the mayor and the council. I serve at the pleasure of the mayor and council. However, I do have 12 department heads that work with me. They help me to achieve and accomplish the goals from my office and the goals from the city council. Also, Mr. Don Toms, who joined our organization back in late December. He is the assistant city manager, and he and I manage this city together. And I hope that you have had an opportunity to get a glimpse at the many things that we are doing for the city of South Fulton. And I hope that it will make you proud that you have dedicated staff who are willing to do whatever we have to do to keep this city moving forward. And I too want to thank each of the department heads that took time out of their schedules tonight. It's been a long night for many of us, a long day. But we truly want to show you that we are trying to do our very best to provide world-class service to each of you, our 100,000+ citizens within the city of South Fulton. Just a few things that, and I know it's late and I'm not going to hold you, but I just wanted to share with you, the city of South Fulton, we received $4.1 million in CARES Act relief money that was funneled down through the state, through Fulton County to our city. We were able to use that money to do rental and mortgage assistance for eligible residents. Although that application process has closed, I'm proud that we were able to award over 300 individuals with $1,200 to assist with their mortgage and rental assistance. Also, we did use that money for small business grants as well. And we were able to award close to 30 grants thus far. We still have some remaining grants to distribute for our small businesses that applied and were eligible for these particular funds. We were able to provide funding to our police and firefighters and code enforcement and other departments, public works employees, through use of the CARES money through a program that we called Gladiator Pay. This is for our employees as it relates to the COVID environment and them having to work in these hazardous conditions. So we wanted to make sure that we showed our employees that we appreciate the things that they are doing for us and we don't take their health and safety lightly. The other thing, I just wanted to remind you that the city of South Fulton, we have been accepted into the National Flood Insurance Program that is managed by FEMA. South Fulton residents can buy coverage up to the limits set forth by the program. If you are interested in that, I would encourage you to contact your insurance broker that is licensed in Georgia and who offer flood coverage. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you was our URA projects. I know that was mentioned earlier by Mr. Gary Leftwich. We do have several projects in District 3. URA stands for the Urban Redevelopment Authority. And the city, we have about $10 million in projects that we are trying to begin to get implemented. We hired a project manager to help see us through these projects, and you will start to see signage identifying those particular projects within our city that are funded through URA. And we're focusing the deficiencies upon these particular areas: fire, life safety. We're going to be doing roofing projects, mechanical, plumbing and electrical, exterior, structural, and interior. And so we are very excited to be able to have this funding available to make much needed improvements to our facilities. Many of these facilities, were brought over through the county, and they were not kept up in the best condition. And so we are happy that we have funding available to be able to address these important matters within these facilities. The other thing I wanted to mention to you, we have several key department head positions that are vacant. I'm very proud to say that I have selected a fire chief. I want to thank Chief Sterling Jones, who has served as our interim fire chief for the last 10 months during the time that our permanent fire chief position was vacant. But today it was announced publicly that Mr. Chad Jones will be starting as our permanent fire chief for the city of South Fulton on March the 1st. Chad Jones actually retired from the city of Atlanta as their deputy fire chief, and he is currently working for Coweta County as their deputy fire chief, and he is coming highly recommended, and he is well known within the state of Georgia. And so we are very happy with the experience, the knowledge, and the expertise in the fire industry that he is going to be bringing to our organization. We have other positions, key positions that I'm still working on, but I assure you that I'm trying to do my very best to get those filled, and we will continue to do our very best to do things that will continue to move this city forward and make you proud to live in the city of South Fulton. I do want to give Mr. Don Toms a chance to talk to you about some high intensity code enforcement efforts that we are going to be initiating out of the city manager's office with the assistance of Public Works, Code Enforcement, Police in District 3. Don?
Thank you, Ms. Sadler-Jones, and thank you, Councilmember Willis, for having me in attendance today. I just want to cover, we are going to do a quality of life initiative during the week of February 22nd. This will be working with our code enforcement, public works, and police department. And part of the quality of life initiative will be looking at abandoned and junk vehicles, illegal signs, open and outdoor storage in a non-compliance, accumulation of trash, which is quite frequently talked about, looking at unsafe trees, vacant buildings, and working with the police department for speeding and traffic concerns. We will be out there, as mentioned, the entire week of February 22nd in a high intensity impact presence for the community to see. So we will be using several of our code enforcement officers and have a visible presence in our police department. That's pretty much it. I greatly appreciate being here today and having the opportunity to speak. And we'll be conducting these quality of life initiatives throughout the course of the year and starting with District 3. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Little, there is Mrs. Ozzie Credo who has her hand raised.
Yes, I see it. And then also there were some email questions too, just so you know. She should be able to speak now if she
Mrs. Credo?
Yes, I had a question for the I didn't catch what her title was, but the officer. I wanted just some clarification on the school, like the flashing lights and when tickets are given, because there's a lot of confusion on the neighborhood app about when, like when we're supposed to be following those rules or not.
The tickets are giving, if you're talking about the school zone tickets, doing school.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not, go on, sorry.
during school hours with the flashing, when they're flashing light. But people have to be mindful, even the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. If it's not in school zone, it's 35. But a lot of individuals who are getting the tickets are exceeding the 35 by more than 11 and 12 miles an hour. That's the reason why you're getting a ticket, or someone you know may be receiving a ticket. So people just have to be mindful of speed zones at all
Are
times
you
of the hour.
saying, just to be clear, are you saying the tickets can be given even if it doesn't have anything to do with it being school hours?
No, it's doing school hours, and we've had some discrepancy because we are in a pandemic, and the Fulton County is responsible for the lights to be flashing or not. And that's why I have my email address and phone number. Anybody feel like they received a ticket during a time when the school was not in session, either you can email me a copy of the ticket. We will do some investigation on that particular ticket. And if we find that you truly wasn't supposed to get a ticket, then the ticket will be dismissed and you'll be notified.
So that I'm clear, so should the lights be flashing or not? That's what I'm
the light should be flashing when school is in. Yes, ma'am.
Can I jump in there a bit? Because we did put that information out today. The law requires the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit from an hour before students arrive to an hour after they arrive, and then an hour before they leave to an hour after they leave. That is when it's 25. That is when the light should be flashing.
Yes.
During the rest of the day, you must observe the posted speed limit, and those vary from school zone to school zone. But if you're 11 miles an hour over that speed limit, either the 25 during the flashing hours or the posted during the rest of the day, you will get a ticket. And I talked to the people, the vendor yesterday who manages that service for us. And I said, when is the earliest we've ever issued a ticket and when is the latest? And he said the entire time that the cameras have been operating, 6:40 was the earliest ticket and 5:04 p.m. was the latest ticket. And so we do not operate them after school hours. We do capture data so that we can determine where to put additional patrols down the road if we would like to, but tickets are not issued outside of that roughly 6:30 to 5:30 time period.
Again, if you have any discrepancy or grievance about any ticket you receive, Chief Deputy Rogers put her information, her contact information, send it over to her. On the back of the ticket, there's also a mechanism for you to dispute, but she has told you today, send the information over to her. Thank you. All right, the next person. Sheila Griffin Fielder has her hand raised. Can you unmute her, please?
She's unmuted.
Hi, good evening, and thank you all for being here. My question is for Chief Rogers. It's been an ongoing issue of the tractor trailer traffic on Stonewall Tell Road, Butner Road, Old Fairburn Road, Union Road. And with more and more warehouses, we just feel it's going to be more and more tractor trailer traffic. I'd like to know what the police department, if they have any plans to limit or do anything about the tractor trailer traffic. Originally, there was no ordinance. There was an ordinance written. Now there are signs up, but it just seems to be a moot point. So I'd like to know what your plans are to limit the tractor trailer traffic in our neighborhoods.
The traffic enforcement unit, they're covering the whole city. If you're finding, like I said to a comment to another gentleman earlier, if you witness something, feel free. You have my contact information, send it over to me, and we can get a unit out. The traffic unit, they're all over the city at different times of the day trying to catch these violators. They can't be in every place at the same time. So that's where I need you to come in. If you see something, send me my contact information. You can send me an email, you can call me, you can text message me. My phone is constantly on 24 hours a day. I would see it. I'm a very light sleeper. I get the information over to a patrol unit or a traffic unit, and we would get out there and we would handle. Over the last, I would say the last 6 months, we have towed entirely so many tractor trailers, but we have to be there to catch them. That's where the citizens and the residents comes into play. If you see something, send it over to me. Just as quick as you send it to me, I can get a unit over there. And if we see them violating, they'll be told and issued a citation. It's simple as that.
Okay, we have 3 questions. What is the impact of any will the micro data center have on the city of South Fulton? Mr. Pike, do you know of any Microsoft data center that's coming in the area? Because I have not yet had that confirmed.
The city of Douglasville just announced that they have a data center with Microsoft that's coming. I think that was announced yesterday or today. So for us, it won't really have any direct impact. Now, we may definitely get some of our residents that may get a job there, which would be a great opportunity. But as far as it having any direct impact, it won't have any.
Okay, thank you. The second question I have, will there be another round of T-SPLOST taxes? Yes, there will be another round of T-SPLOST taxes. Ms. Sadler-Jones, do you want to speak to that? Because I know we are in discussions with the county right now, but when that will occur, I don't have those details.
Yes, I don't have the specific details with me right now, but yes, we are in the process of looking at renewing the T-SPLOST. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the current one expires in 2022. Yes. So we need to start now, and the staff, that's exactly what we are doing, trying to come up with the projects that, the council will decide that we will do. And then, of course, that information will go out to the citizens. We will have to have citizen input meetings and determine, which specific projects that we are going to be looking at as far as funding through the next T-SPLOST.
And when that renewal comes up, we will have community meetings. We don't renew T-SPLOST without community input. So Absolutely. Stay tuned. We'll get that information out. Make sure you engage when we have those meetings. The third question I have is renaming the city on the back burner for now. Absolutely, yes. Renaming the city is on the back burner for now. I will, Mrs. Sadler or Mr. Leffridge, if you all want to respond to that.
We, as you know, Councilwoman Willis, we were working with the committee that was starting the process to allow for public input of names, and that process never really got past the development phase. And the council 2 or 3 months ago, maybe longer, adopted a measure that disbanded several committees, and that was one of them. And so, yes, the measure is on the back burner, and that committee has been disbanded.
So the residents are requesting for an opportunity to vote on a name. That I am committing to advocating for, that residents do have an opportunity to vote on a name. How we get there, we will have to revamp that process once we get past this pandemic. Right now, the priority is getting us past this pandemic. When will COVID vaccinations open at GICC? They open today. And it is by appointment. And as I get information, I'll give the information to you to book appointments, but it opened today. And is there road payments for Diane Drive, Pulling Lane scheduled in 2021? What is the approximate date? Mr. Vensuelas, can you provide that information, or do you need to get back to the Green Tree community with that information?
I will rather want to provide you an accurate date, but every single project where I provided that it was going to be let for 2021, it will be let. the ITV for our 2020 projects and 2021 list. It's advertised, and we should be open the bids sometime the first week of March, and then we'll proceed from there. But just keep in mind that 2020 tax collections ends on March of 2021. And for projects in 2021, it starts in April 2021 and will end in March 2022.
Okay, thank you. We'll get the specific information to you, the Green Tree community. That was the last question I had. Let me elaborate on the naming of the city. Residents, we're in the midst of a pandemic. It would be very unfair to launch a campaign to rename the city when we have a lot of seniors who can't get out and participate in virtual meetings. And if we want to be fair, let's do it during a time where we can get the most engagement from residents. That's a very important measure. It's a very important matter for us to take on. And for us to do it now would be totally unfair, because I still get complaints from residents saying they cannot participate in meetings because there is a technology gap. And so the priority is to keep the city afloat, and we're doing well financially. We're keeping our heads above water to keep everybody safe, to get everybody vaccinated, and to move forward with our Urban Redevelopment Authority projects and get the city clean, deal with these litter issues. That is the priority, and keeping and minimizing our crime. And when we can come back together and get more participation, we will revisit this issue at some time. It's just that we cannot do it now. It would not be fair to the community and residents for us to try to take on that issue when we cannot maximize engagement. And all I can say is, please check on your neighbor, check on your family, share this information. If you're not getting my newsletters, please subscribe. The city has a newsletter. Please subscribe to the city newsletter, and I will continue to mail District 3 residents quarterly, as I've been doing, so that to keep you engaged. If you need anything of me, please feel free to reach out to my office. I provided my contact information. If you have any questions of the city manager, please reach out to her. Mrs. Sally Jones has been here shy of 60 days, and it is expected that she is going to make changes. She has the right and all authority to hire, and she has the right to make any decisions concerning personnel. And she had assured this council she's going to make her assessments and make decisions. That's what we pay her to do. And she's going to run the day-to-day operations. That's what we pay her to do. That's what we expect her to do. And we're asking you to trust her like we trust her, to run the day-to-day operations of the city in the best interest of the residents who live here, and also the council who were elected to lead. That's my contact information. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. It is now 8:28, and I want to be respectful of the staff time. I appreciate you all participating and giving the information to the residents of District 3, and I appreciate residents. Thank you. Have a good evening.